was wondering if there's any advice you could give. Anything that you're like, oh shit, I wish I had known that. That would have been amazing had I known
There are actually two things.
that. There you go. There you go.
My sister, let's say, she's not in the next room where I can just bang at her door and be like, spend time with me. I want to annoy you right now, you know?
All right. Well, hello, Casey. Thanks so much for doing this.
Hi, and thanks for having me.
Right. Well, the basics I like to get out of the way always, which is you are from Germany, but you're
Yes,
part Romanian, from what I
yes.
yes, and that you are studying film production. Is that correct?
Yeah, filmmaking and screenwriting here in air.
Cool. And do you do anything other in the arts?
No, just filmmaking and screenwriting.
That's fair play. I just like to cover all my bases. Well, in
Nothing
that,
else for now.
yeah, you never know. You never know.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, in that case, I mean, let's start with, with the fundamentals. Whereabouts in Germany are you from?
From the south, so it's close to Munich. I'll say that because it's such a tiny village. Not even people from there know where it is. So
Fair enough. All right, cool. So, why act? Why I was gonna say acting. Why filmmaking? Why producing? How did that happen?
well, okay, this might sound very basic, but I just enjoy watching films, and I just really like it. It just gives this kind of nostalgic feeling when I just sit down watching a movie with my mom, and I just want to, I don't know, create that feeling when I'm writing a movie, just a script, and I just feel like, would my mom like this?
Oh,
I
that's
don't know, but I just really like that feeling just because she gets the same jokes as me, and it's just like it's a whole experience with her.
that's kind of wholesome. So you spend a lot of time watching movies.
Yeah, I really do. I just like analyzing it and all the hidden meanings behind it. I really like that.
Cool. And were the parents okay? Were they like, go you or
Well, my mom was like, okay, you just follow your dream because that's what moms always do. But my dad was like, are you really sure you want to do this? Just because, what if you can't get a job after this? Just because it's a very creative kind of job. Why are you not working in an office so you know when your money comes in? Because you just have like this basis and you got it just right there. But I was like, you know what? You never know, just try it, and if not, I can still work in an office. This is that job won't run away.
well, hopefully not. You never know. All right, okay. Well, that was pretty straightforward. And how did you figure out you want to, like, did that just happen naturally or that you wanted to do filmmaking? Or did that something happen over time? Because I was gonna
Well,
be a software engineer. I was never gonna become an actor until I just did. So,
acting was the one thing I wanted to do. I really wanted to do that. I'm like back in high school, I was in every theater. Like I really just wanted to play any character I could get. But then my mom and my dad, they both said, you know what? No, we're not gonna help you do that. You can still do that in your spare time. Just find a theater and maybe you'll find a job there. But then I thought, okay, what else could I do that is like in the same genre kind of? And that's why I thought, okay, filmmaking might be a better place just because there's a variety of jobs like directing, writing, and producing or editing. So,
oh,
yeah.
and there's a lot more. Like once you get into, I was speaking to casting director before this, but and
Mm,
she was a runner and then assistant director and things like that. There are so many jobs behind the scenes, behind the camera that you
yeah,
can.
exactly.
I've got friends that are working in crew, and there is a lot. There's a lot
Yeah.
you
For every single little thing, there is a guy who does it.
or a woman or a woman.
Yeah. No, yeah.
But yeah, no, pretty much. I remember I was one of my first like my first big set I was working for, and there was somebody watching the clouds, making sure that because of the light in the room. So someone was like, "There's a cloud coming. Get the lights ready. Turn them on." About 2 minutes, it was hilarious. It's literally someone's getting paid to be like, I mean, that wasn't their main job, but every now and again, that's what they were doing. They're like, Cloud. So it
It-
was hilarious.
yeah,
But yeah, there's so many moving factors you have to control.
it's
And
true. Yeah.
obviously you can always get back to acting. Now you have all this backstage experience. You can always get when mom's not looking, you just sneakily go into an acting class and
It's true. Yeah.
all right, okay. And why the UK? Let's get that out of the way.
The UK. Well, first, my dream was to go to America, but I was lacking in this domain. So there was no money for that kind of stuff. Like all of the schools, it's just the price. If you're not rich, you just can't get behind that. So then I met a friend and she already was studying here. She's in Sterling now. And she said, just send a few things over there to a few universities. And if you're lucky, you can just go there. And before Brexit, now they are paying for all my fees and all that. So I was like, okay, let's just try this out. So I sent a few things out and they accepted me. So this is all just because of my friend, basically. Just because I never thought of Scotland in the first place. I never did. I was like, Scotland, I've never been there. So, okay, let's try it. And if they say yes, I'll go. And if no, well, I'll find something else. But it worked out.
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. Yeah, I mean a lot of students actually were attracted by the fact that you could get free higher education. I know myself as
Yeah, I didn't know that. I really didn't.
I mean, yeah, that was kind of a biggie. But back in the day, back in my time. Okay, nice and easy. And well, in that case, how have you been finding it? Eh?
Well, the very first year, I was, let's say, amazed by the people here because back in Germany, everyone's just minding their own business. You don't really talk to strangers in a supermarket, for example. But when I first came here, everyone, like even on the street, oh, how are you? How's your day been? What are you doing today? And I was like, you don't even know me. Why are you talking to me? And stuff like that. I was like, this was so nice. I wasn't used to that kind of stuff. But yeah, so but now that I've been living here for 4 years, at some point I just got used to the fact, and it's just life now. It's not it. I took off the pink glasses. Let's say that. It's yeah.
All right, okay. So you find Scotland a bit more friendly then?
Yeah, really, it really is. It really is.
Nice, nice. And but I was curious more about the university stuff because I didn't actually go to uni, right?
Mhm.
For acting. I did a course. I went to a studio, but I'm just curious what's the production. I've heard rumors of what's the acting like, but I've never heard anything about the production side of things. What's what has been
So
your experience?
please say that again.
What was your experience?
Well, my experience so far, it is good at uni because every year they cover different kinds of classes. For example, last year we had one in producing, so we got to know like what does the producer do from A to Z, so like the whole thing, and that was really really good. Or now we learned how to do a screen adaptation, so from book to film, just very very different things. And what I like the most is that every year we get to do a film at the end of the year. So we start at the beginning of the year and we show the film at the end of the year, and there's a whole big screening. So I really really like that, just because in the real world we have the same thing. We do a film and then in the end we all sit in the lecture theater and then we just look at all the films and we give feedback and how we can get better. So I really, really like the whole experience.
All right, so there's a not just a theoretical, but also there's a practical side of things.
Yeah, not just writing essays and analyzing this film or that film. What did this director mean by that? This is like from very theoretical to practical. So we get the whole thing, which is good because now you also know when you watch a film, you kind of learn how to read it, like just behind the shots, the sounds that they use. I like, since I'm doing this, I can't watch movies the same way as I did before, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, because you become aware of like framing and color grading and
Yeah,
even just the motion of the camera, what kind of, if if it is
exactly. Yeah.
more, what kind of
And does this really fit the scene or the character and stuff like that?
so is watching movies with your mom a bit different now? You're like, mom's like, oh, this is nice, and you're like, well, actually,
Yes. So I've said before that I really like watching movies with my mom, but my mom is like, she likes the rom-coms. And when I watch those kind of films with her, it's kind of like, okay, I really like the story. The story is great, but have you seen this shot? I could actually see in the background that this was not very good, or the character was not doing a good job, and stuff like that. And then she's like, oh, you're so wrong, this is not true. And I'm like, mom, but I'm studying this, I know how this is supposed to look like. So yeah.
okay. So you've ruined movies with mom, is what you're saying. This is all your fault. This is all your fault, to be
Yeah, it is my fault, it is all my fault.
fair. Okay, so what? I mean, I'm curious. What are your ambitions? What
Okay, so well,
that?
the big goal is everyone should have like the big dream.
Yes.
um my dream is at some point maybe to go to the USA and just at some point, I'm not saying I can win a big prize, but just making it to Hollywood. And even if I'm doing a tiny job, like just being a runner on a big film set, that would just be it for me. Just to see like how the big guys are doing it, like with the all the special effects, and like how does a real set look like, with how many people are there behind the camera doing the lighting or holding this, or doing this. And it's just, I would really, really like to see that.
Yeah, I can imagine that would be pretty. I mean, yeah, Hollywood is kind of the granddaddy for everybody. Everybody looks to Hollywood growing up.
Yeah. And it's going to be different than here in Scotland, for example, because here there are just smaller productions, but in Hollywood it's just like, I just really want to see how they're doing it.
I mean, there's some pretty big stuff happening in Scotland now as well. There's new
Yeah, that
film
is.
studio in Edinburgh, and
Mhm.
so
Glasgow too.
yeah, yeah, Glasgow as well. There's one in Edinburgh. I think they were building it, or it's finished, or something like that. So there's a lot happening.
Mm.
Obviously, Glasgow is getting a film. We're getting a project done almost every other week now.
Yeah, that.
So yeah, there's opportunities growing, and there's a lot happening. It's just yeah, I can understand Hollywood being still like the big one for us.
It just is what it is. I just really thought like, I just really want to be at some point just with one big actor and could just talk to him or her. This is like my dream. I don't know.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Um, I'm curious. What's the as you're a student and it's now you're a lot more knowledgeable in the field. What does the perfect film look like and why?
Perfect film. When Well, first of all, I really like writing, which means the first thing I'm looking at is, like, in retrospect, I'm gonna think, okay, this did this shot work or this specific sound. But what I'm looking at first is just the whole story. I'm looking at the whole story arc. Does it make sense from start to finish? Are there things from the beginning that they pick up at the end? And is like there a whole dramatic plot twist to it? So I think that I like rom-coms just because they're very light-hearted, and they're just good for your soul. It's like, oh, this was cute. But I really like it. It doesn't have to be a big movie like Dune, you know, or like Star Wars or Fast and Furious, where you have like all those special effects flying around and all of that. For me, it just has to be just a really nice story where you can be like, okay, I really like this character. I really think like, okay, they've really dissected the character so well that I want to be that character.
Okay. So for instance, par example.
Okay. I would say Jurassic Park is a big one, but it also has a lot of special effects in it. So next to that one, I would say either 10 Things I Hate About You. I don't know if you know that film, but I
Oh,
really
it's
like that
with
film.
I never I know of it and I've seen stuff from it, but I didn't watch the film yet. It's with what's his
Heath,
face? Yeah,
Heath
Heath
Ledger.
Ledger.
Yeah, really, really good movie. I could watch it over and over again and I could not get tired of it, really. Just the whole story, it is so, so good. It is very stereotypical with the high school stuff and the different uh, groups of people there, but it's just from start to finish. You get the huge plot twist in it, you get different perspectives of the characters. You know, each character is so specific. What are their goals and aims in life, and what do they want, and what do they need? And it's just very, very good. The other film I thought was what was also really good is How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days,
Right, okay.
with Matthew McConaughey and I think it was Kate Hudson. I really like those two films.
I feel like that one I might have seen. That one I might have seen. I'm not sure.
She's basically she's working for a magazine company and the other one for an advertising one, and she has to write an article about how to lose a guy in 10 days. So she has to meet a guy and has to get rid of him in 10 days, and he has a bet with his friends. He has to make a woman fall in love with him in 10 days, and of course the two of them meet. She tries to get rid of him, but he tries to fall in love with her, and it's just she's driving him crazy, but it's like I really want to win that bet. So it's very funny
Oh
what
yeah,
they
that
do.
okay, that would be hilarious. Yeah, I can see
Yeah,
the
so for
premise.
me it's yeah, for me it's really just the story has to work. That really has to be it. It doesn't have to be like, wow, this just looks amazing, you know, like with the whole like there's a UFO in the background and there's a dinosaur running around and it's just, yeah, it looks cool, but the story has to be gripping so that you can actually sit down and you can be like, I want to see how this ends.
Okay. Well, that kind of asks the question. So what's the worst film you've seen? Because I so basically during lockdown, I went on a rampage and I literally watched the worst films voted by the public. So I watched like
Wow.
7 of them and
Uh-huh.
reviewed and recapped them. And let me tell you, there's some bad films out there, but oh my god, they're fucking hilarious. Like they can be so entertaining if they're really bad. You're like, oh, okay.
Now which ones were they?
I watched The Room. I
Oh,
watched Samurai Cop, which I can't get over Samurai Cop. That was brilliant.
I don't know that one.
It's like an 80s American guy, police officer, who's also a samurai for no reason, and he's fluent in Japanese. He is not fluent in Japanese, let me tell you. Iron Sky. I think the most surprising one was The Poison Rose because it had like Morgan Freeman, John Travolta, Peter Stormare, Famke Janssen, like all these
Big
big,
names.
yeah, big names. The film was fucking awful. Sorry,
Oof.
sorry for all the hard work you put into it. It was not great.
Mm. Well, for me,
It doesn't have to be
yeah,
bad. It was just like nah. It can be like okay, it did not work for me at all. Like some movies, I understand there's a lot that goes into them, but sometimes it just does not click. Or the studio gets involved and messes it up.
okay, so I think I got two. Um, and I'm sure that there are a lot of more films that I completely dislike just because of the story or just the whole thing and like the characters. So the first one is I watched this in at uni was Train Spotting. It is a whole, okay, I see you're offended right now.
Not offended. I'm just like, let me finish my tea. Go on, lady. Tell me about Trainspotting.
Train Spotting is, I know it's a classic, I know, and there are very big characters in it, and the whole story. It's an adaptation too, so there has been a lot of work going into it. It just did not work for me, just because I personally I cannot get my head around the whole drug topic and like the whole,
The heroin addiction.
yeah, just I just really did not like that topic. Like I don't like movies that just evolve just around that, because the whole film was just about him and like dealing with it.
Well, yeah, yeah, it's a massive drama in a lot of people's lives, you know,
Yeah.
trying to get out of it.
I mean, I like how they depicted it, just because like of the different viewpoints, and when he's like trying to do this, when he stopped doing it and he's in this room and he gets like all those
All the frames,
hallucinations.
yeah, the baby
Yeah.
on the wall, yes,
Yeah.
the ceiling.
I mean, it for me just didn't work. I just really didn't like the story. I don't know. I couldn't get my head around it.
Fair enough, fair enough.
And the other one is The Revenant with DiCaprio. He got an Oscar for that movie and he said like two lines in the whole thing. He's such a big character, and he's done so many great movies. I've watched this. I was like, okay, let's do this, because it's DiCaprio. I went in there with so many expectations. They were pretty high, and then I watched this, and he doesn't say a word. He just gets attacked by the bear, and then in the end, it's like the whole thing, blah blah blah, and then in the end, it's like, and the Oscar goes to DiCaprio. I'm like,
Well,
what?
I'm sorry, he ate raw elk meat or whatever, he slept inside of a bear. How do you not give an Oscar for that?
I know, but it's like, okay, the acting was great. I'm not saying anything against it, because he is a great actor, and people like him, they are just dying out. Okay, there's no one else like him. But I was like, I need story and I need dialogue. I don't know. I just really like dialogue.
Yeah, it's a personal preference, fair play.
Yeah.
Well, if Tarantino was watching the film like, I wonder what I would say in this moment.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Now I'm just curious because everyone's got different, different tastes, different preferences, as you said. So,
Yeah.
all right, okay, okay.
For
And
others, it's just like how can you show a scene like just by pure, like, what do they do, not how they talk and what they say. It's just like, how do you put the characters in the framing and what do they do, so you can actually tell the story without any words. And some people really like that as an artistic
choice.
element. Yeah.
Fair enough. So you like your characters to talk and
Yeah.
preferably nice people.
Now I just grew up with operas, and I just really thought like, in that kind of area, people talk a lot. It's not about the framing. It's like, it has to be dramatic. You have to talk and talk. And so
Armando,
I
what did
think,
you do to me?
yeah, exactly.
All right, okay, fair enough. But I've noticed you most of the films you met, well, the two films you mentioned, they were actually like from a technical point of view, they're very well done. They, I was
Yes, yes,
curious if
it is.
I was curious if you've seen any movie that was like technically just so bad. Besides student films. Besides student.
Yeah. Besides student films, I can't come up with anyone right now. I'm really
All right.
sorry. It's
Okay. No. I'm just curious because, like, as I said, I spent a significant part of the lockdown watching really bad movies.
really.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, that we kind of covered your entry into the arts. I mean, how long have you been, actively pursuing this? Not professionally, but like in your mind, you're like, okay, this is what's gonna, what I'm gonna
That
spend
that
time on.
was 11th grade. That's when I had a seminar for 2 years for filmmaking, because we had different kinds of seminars, like from one for geography, biology, or poems and stuff. But then there was one teacher, and she proposed filmmaking, and I was like, I never really thought of that. Okay, then let's take this. And we watched Taxi Driver or Django, and I was like really
Which,
fascinated just
which
by
Django, the new one or the old one?
the new one.
Okay, Django Unchained. Okay.
Yeah. And I was just fascinated by the whole thing because I already knew that she had a really huge knowledge of the whole thing, like the hero's journey and how you structure the thing, like just the basics, like not very analytical like you do it here. But we wrote so many essays about it and we watched films. And then at the end, we had a presentation. We could pick our own movie and dissect it, and make the audience like just explain, okay, they've done this and what's the story and why. And I was like, this was really, really fun. And after that, I was like, I want to keep doing this. I want to analyze films. I don't know. I really like that.
All right, fair enough. So you've been doing this for a wee while now.
Yeah.
Or we've been doing this for a while.
Yeah.
Well, well, in that case, I am curious. So, with you being an immigrant in Scotland as well, but you also, as you say, as I know, you're half Romanian in Germany. I'm curious about the culture aspect of things. Like, first and foremost, what's it like growing up with a half Romanian household in Germany? That must be a trip.
Well, okay, I don't want to give you this very sad story of the little girl who is an outsider and different than anyone else, but it was like that. When I grew up in Germany, in kindergarten, for some reason, they just knew, like even the parents, that I'm not German, like 100%. And in kindergarten, I didn't have many friends. I had one friend, and it's just weird. We didn't have a lot of money back then, and we're doing well now. But back then, we just had a tiny apartment. I didn't have the newest clothes. I had weird smelling food because my grandma made this Romanian dish the night before. And I was like happy with like my little lunchbox. I'm putting this out. And then the kids were like, "Ugh, what's this? This smells very weird." But I was like, this is actually really good. You just don't know what you're talking about, with your bread and salami on top of it. I'm like, what the hell? So
You
it
stand
was
up for Romanian food. That's some good stuff.
Yeah, no, it was difficult a little bit just because as a kid, you just want to have friends, like, and I just basically grew up around adults with my aunts and grandparents and all of that.
Hmm. And did
So,
that
yeah.
change over time? Or was that?
Well, even in high school, they all knew, okay, she's not German, but during high school, then I had a couple more friends, and now here, they don't care. Like, and that was weird. Like, when I told them, there's always like this weird look on their face, like, Romania, because some people, and even I had one here who said, "Oh, so where the gypsies come from?" And I was like, "Okay, you hold on a second. Gypsies are not just from Romania, okay? Not everyone is a gypsy, you know. You
And
just get your cultural context right, and then you can come back to me and talk to me about that if you have
and
an issue
also
or any questions."
and also at the end of the day, you're just mixing up cultures.
Exactly.
I'd rather be a gypsy than an asshole all day long. Because they're people.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but I really like it that now that like from a very young age to now, people just don't care. Of course, there are going to be people who still judge you. Some people are like, but others are like, you know what? I don't care. I like you for you,
Hmm.
and that's all I want. So,
And was this, as you said, a smaller town in Germany where this was happening, or
yeah, 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 yeah.
they can be a bit more protective of their?
Yeah, they're just not very open minded about these kind of things, and sometimes we still get weird looks at us, but it's just how it is. We got used to this point, and I'm like, okay, you don't like us, okay, cool, I can still sleep peacefully at night. So
Yeah, yeah. It's just unfortunate. It's one of those things that yeah, the world needs to adapt to there being more people. It's not just your lot around here.
exactly, no, just be proud of who you are and where you come from. It doesn't matter. It doesn't define you. Just be who you are. So
Yeah,
but
of
of
course.
of course, when you're a child, you constantly think like, is something wrong with me? Like I remember a few days I just came home, and I was like, no one wanted to play with me, and I just want a friend, and I just really hated going there, just because I knew as soon as my mom leaves, I'm gonna be alone in a corner, and I'm just gonna play with my own few things, and that's it. And then I wait until my mom comes and gets me again. So, but there's nothing wrong with us.
No, there isn't anything
There
wrong.
is nothing wrong with us. Kids can just be very mean, and that's it. Kids can be mean.
Yeah, kids are trying to figure out the world and they have no
Yeah.
context. At best, they have the context they're given at home. So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm getting so as you mentioned, like in Scotland, compared to that, that has been a lot better and open experience, right?
Yeah. A lot.
I mean,
They
I'm
just accept you. They just accept you.
yeah, I mean, university is a fairly diverse place anyway, and so
Oh, there are so many people from different parts of the world. So you can't just say, okay, I don't like you. I don't know where you're from. So it's like, no, we're all from different parts. There are not just Scottish people there.
cool. Yeah, it's always a pleasant experience just mingling and learning about how other people try to figure out life from different parts.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, okay. Well, I'm glad that you're having more fun this time around.
Yeah, I really do. I
Good,
am enjoying
good.
this.
And the other thing I sort of like to ask always is, with cultural differences and stuff. If,
Yeah.
compared to Scotland, compared to like Romania or Germany, what are the things that you've noticed that you think, are similar or kind of fascinatingly different?
I'm a big food person. So one thing that really stood out is food. For example, I love, like, Romanian food is number one, then German, and then Scottish food. I just don't really like the. I mean, people from here, they might like, for example, haggis. I can't wrap my head around it. I will not try it. I just know what's in there, and I just won't try. But for example, with Romanian food, I know what's in it. Some people find it completely disgusting, but I'm like, this is the best thing in the world, and I will eat it despite the fact that what's in it might sound disgusting. I,
You gotta try haggis once. You can't talk shit about haggis without at least tasting it once. I'm sorry.
so you've tried it,
I've tried it. I like haggis. Yeah.
yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, all
Well,
right.
it's not that actually. It's something that's a bit closer to Romanian food, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just because it's all the meats.
all right, okay. Well, I guess I'll try it then at some point. Well,
Yeah.
but the other thing is here, next week I'm gonna go to a Christmas market, and I know that they've got a German booth there, and they've got like bratwurst and sauerkraut there, and so that's what I miss from back home. So I just want to go there and get that.
Are you going to the Edinburgh one or the Glasgow one?
Glasgow.
Okay. Well, you'll have a surprise there.
Don't tell me they canceled that one because
No,
I'm really.
no, 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 no. It's still there. Once you get there, you'll have a laugh. You realize
Oh God. Okay.
it's not bad. It's good.
I
You're
mean, it's not going to be the original taste, like the real flavors that I want, but it's better than nothing.
Yeah, it is better than nothing. Yeah, yeah. And actually, it
So,
was quite nice. I tried the spicy one. I think it wasn't a currywurst. It was just a spicy wurst. But yeah.
oh, currywurst, that's another thing I really miss here.
Okay, okay. Right. Well, I'm trying to figure out, all the kind of because you've been to a lot of places and you've been to so many things. I'm curious. Back to your training a little bit. How do they prepare you for the industry? I don't mean skills wise, but do they for business wise, for like mental health wise, do they talk about rejection and surviving it and what the numbers game they can be and things like that?
Yes, for example, we've got one class this trimester, it's podcasting, and our teacher told us specifically, like, he constantly posts job offers, from the BBC, and he always says, apply to this, just submit it, because you never know if you can actually get a job or not, just because you have to be very lucky. So he told us even from the very first lesson, don't be sad if one job just doesn't work out. You just have to constantly try and try and try until you find the right place for you. So he tells us there is rejection out there and you just have to deal with it. And even same thing with film teachers, it's the exact same thing. They also say, they post job offers again, and they also say just apply to this because you never know. But she also said, for example, at the end of the day, rejection is always around us. So just don't give up.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I'm only asking because like what I've been working in the industry since 2019 actively, and
Okay.
there's a lot of rejection.
Yeah.
It's a fucking rock and roll experience, but you get the hang of it after a while, and you focus on what you know the enjoyable parts, and then the rejection
Exactly.
is like
Yeah.
it's one of those things, you know.
Yeah.
Alrighty, okay, and what is any talk about the business side of things? Because I so in the acting world, we were quite lucky. We had a business of acting module, but
Yeah.
normally I don't think there's a lot of training for that, which I think is lacking in a lot of universities.
No, for us as well. There's not so much, like we just know, let's just say, just a theoretical thing and practical stuff, like I said before, but it's like how it's supposed to be done, but then how it's actually, and we also know how it's going to be when you're actually having a job, but it's, they're not going to teach you how it's actually going to go, like just the business side of it. It's, that's the
Yeah.
one thing that's, yeah, not really well thought through.
Fair enough. Fair. And is there anything that, you know, the students amongst themselves do to sort of make up for it, you know, besides all the...
Apprenticeships,
Okay.
yeah, just so they can learn by themselves. Okay, I really need to work on this. Okay, I left uni and I got this job there, and I'm like, I didn't even know that this existed. I don't know how to do this, you
Yeah.
know. So apprenticeships, I think, is the best thing.
So was not aware of this. Is there a lot of apprenticeships happening for sort of
There are a lot.
behind the
Yes.
camera
Yeah.
work?
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm?
Behind the camera work, yeah?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There are a lot of things, like not even just for podcasting, also like being a runner on set. For example, Outlander, they were looking for people, for example, for next year, just to be a runner, you know, just on set and doing things and just see how life on set can be.
Oh yeah, actually now that you mention it, I have seen a couple of things. All right, okay. Well, that yeah, I absolutely recommend it to everyone. Like those are some fascinating and incredibly useful ways of learning what you need to, you know, what you need to get to, and just
Exactly.
getting a perspective on the actual industry.
Yeah. Because
Cool.
you don't just learn it from books, you just have to go there, even though if you're scared. And it's actually good if you're scared, because then you know it's important to you and you want to do this.
Of course, of course. Yeah, I mean, yeah. If you put it very well that you, if you don't care, then you're gonna, you know, not gonna have the motivation to do it properly. So
No.
a little bit of nerves is a sign of
Exactly. Yeah.
things to come. All right, okay. Let's take a quick break because my timer's gonna run down, and then we're gonna
Oh,
go
yeah.
straight away. Okay.
All right. Okay.
Cheers. Welcome back. Um, hello. What I was gonna ask you, right? So you're in your final year now?
Yes.
Cool. So you've had a fair bit of student experience in Scotland. I was wondering if there's any advice you could give to other people that are considering becoming students in filmmaking, or if there's anything that you're like, oh shit, I wish I had known that. That would have been amazing had I known that.
There are actually two things.
There you go. There you go.
Number one, always put some money to the side, because you never know if you might need a few more extra pounds at the end of the month. I'm very, I really had to struggle during each month, just because I live alone. And it's just, you have to pay rent, gas, electricity, and it just all goes out just like that. And for food, and what if you go out for drinks with your friends? You can't keep count. The money's just going to get out of your bank account, and that's it. So number one, always keep money to the side, just as a safety pillow. Always. It sounds strange, like, oh, but I want to buy this. No, you don't. You already have this sweater in another color at home. You don't need this. Save those 20 pounds for the end of the month.
Okay, fair, fair. Now, I feel like I can hear a Romanian mum in the back just going,
That is my dad.
okay, fair enough, fair enough.
That is my dad. Yeah, he's more on the accountant side of the family.
Fair play, fair play.
And the other one is try to look for people who you can rely on, not because they seem nice. Try to filter out that specific character trait. Can you rely on them and can you trust them? Because more for film projects, as a film student, during these years, I found it very hard to work with people who seemed nice in class, and we still hang out with each other. That's not the point. We didn't stop seeing each other. It's just when it comes to that we have a deadline. Everyone has a specific job. You have to edit this. I have to record that. I have to write this scene. We have to rely on each other and trust each other that we do our best as good as we can. No one's perfect, but you have to rely on that person and not just think, okay, they'll do it and they'll submit it on time. The next day comes and the teacher is messaging you, where's your film? And the editor didn't even get back to you. They didn't even submit it. Stuff like that. So there has to be communication and you have to rely on the person. So not just because someone is nice doesn't also mean that they have
The right work ethic.
professional, like a, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's 100% true, man. We've been having this conversation with my some of my friends and people I work with, and it's basically I would rather like first and foremost don't be an asshole, but I will take someone who's reliable over someone who's really, really skilled. Because you can be
yeah,
really amazing if I don't know if you're gonna show up on time, if you could,
yeah,
you're not meeting like just deadlines and stuff. It's a waste of my time. It's just too much hassle and there's too much.
exactly.
I'd rather take someone who's can do a decent job, not a fantastic job, but they will do that fucking job.
Exactly. And you don't have to constantly harass them and like message them like 5 times a day. Did you do this? Can I see it? And they're like, oh, yeah, well, I'm like, no, did you do this? Yes or no? It's a simple question.
Yeah, yeah, just yeah. Don't play with
Because
my emotions.
yeah, no, because at some point you just lose patience with that person. And it's like, okay, cool. We will finish this project. But for the next one, don't be mad at me if I'm choosing a different one.
Yeah, of course, of course. I mean, in that kind of vein, I always automatically want to ask if you got any advice for young people who want to, still emigrate to the UK or still want to move to the UK because obviously it's a lot more difficult now. But
Yeah.
I'm guessing there's still international students, as far as I know. There's still
Yeah.
so if there's anything that stood out to you in the years that you've been hassling away, not hassling, fucking hustling. Sorry, I get the right words.
So what is the question exactly with the students?
If you got any advice for not for like international, immigrant students.
Like I said before, don't be afraid of who you are. It's just be a kind person, and it doesn't matter where you come from. Just do your best. And if someone doesn't like it, there's the door. I can find another person who might like who I am, and then we can work together on a project.
Right, okay, so just
Just
don't
be proud. Be proud and don't be scared just because you are different. Don't be scared.
cool. Just own it.
It
Just
is good that you're different because it would be boring if everyone's the same. Be be happy that you're a special edition.
I love it. Yeah, you're a limited edition. That's it. Boom.
Yeah, you're a limited edition.
Cool, cool. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, yeah, it's from a mental health perspective, there's a lot that can be said of the challenges of being, from a different country and just trying to find your feet and your community and also pursuing your passions. But then you're aware that all these things are happening. All your family's getting older without you, and your friends are living their life without you.
Yeah, that is also true. Like I do miss my family, and I'm very happy that I, for example, can go home next weekend just to see them for a whole month. It is very different. For example, last night my curtain fell from the ceiling, and it would have been nice if my dad was just around the corner and he could fix it and get the ladder. No, I have to do a lot of things by myself. For example, if I miss my sister, let's say, she's not in the next room where I can just bang at her door and be like, spend time with me, I want to annoy you right now, it is just the little things. it's
Yeah.
i I really do miss them. Yeah, that is another point, I forgot about that. I try not to think of that.
Sorry. Sorry. I'm just trying to keep it realistic because
Yeah, no, no, but it's true, it is
I've
true, like,
been immigrant for 9 years, and yeah, life by phone becomes a interesting thing where you're like, just you're right here in my.
yeah, yeah, but not next to you, where you can actually like hug them or like sit next to them. Like with my mom watching a movie, it's always has to be through teleparty so we can connect each other and then we can watch the same movie. It's not the same thing.
Yeah, it's not exactly the same thing, but luckily with technology, you get to keep in touch at least. It's an
Of course
interesting thing that
it's
actually, because yeah, it's a mixed one. Because back in the day, if you decided I'm going to America, for instance, you go on a ship, you fucked off, and then you send letters every now and again.
letter. Yeah,
Well, like
exactly.
once a year. I don't know. Let's say more than
Yeah.
once a year. But it's like you couldn't be there. But now with modern technology, you can see them, and it's like it's creating that craving in a weird way as well. Because like, oh, I can actually talk to you. So yeah, it's like this weird. You're here, but you're not, and yeah, it's you got this carrot in front of you. But on the other hand, it does help because you can actually interact
Yeah,
regularly.
but it also happens like this, and you can just have to click on one button and then you can talk with them. That's also sometimes a bad thing because I harass my mom like 10 times a day because of different questions. How do I do this? How do I do that? And she's like, Keyssi, I love you, but I also have my own life and I have to do my own things in the house. So
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah. Yeah, it's just one of those things that you need to get the hang of, and
yeah.
that's why it's important to have your own community. Like the moment you arrive, you colonize, as in like, where's my friends? Where do I find my people?
Exactly. And then we can help each other out with a few things. Like, how did you wash that? Or how did you cook this? And you don't have to ask your mom, you can ask me because I've already done this. And then I can give you tips and tricks for that. So we can just help each other out and we can create our own little colony, family, so we can just, yeah, spend time together.
Do you find that you sort of build this network of other immigrant students, or do
I would say yes. From first year, now I have a friend who's Spanish, one who's English, French, Greek even. So we have a bunch of people.
yeah, it's like you get all kinds of friends. It's not like it becomes an exclusive thing, but I just find because you can relate to other immigrants in that, especially in that aspect,
Yeah,
like trying
yeah,
to find friends and stuff. And
that
they're
is true.
also actively out there trying to find their community. It becomes slightly easier to connect with them.
I found it easier when I heard, oh, I'm from France, or oh, I'm from Portugal. Oh, okay, cool. So you're also not from here. So maybe you can give me some life hacks that I can maybe adapt to my own life.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I just yeah, it's something. I just know there's something that happens. I mean, I've got plenty of Scottish friends. It's not like I don't avoid anyone.
Exactly. Yeah, no, that's not it.
It just kind of happens because similar mindsets, even, or
Yeah, like flying back home for the holidays or for the summer, like a Scottish friend, he's here the whole year, so he doesn't have to think about those kind of things. But for example, other friends who also fly home for the holidays, or they're like, okay, I have to do this, this, and this. Can you maybe help me with that so I can get this done just before I go back home? And I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll do that.
cool, 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 right? Fair enough, fair enough. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I love my adventure in the UK and I love being an immigrant, but sometimes you kind of think of like, oh, okay, like there's my family and my friends' life is happening over there. And that's why it's important to have your own kind of family here and your own friends here. It's like you get two
Exactly.
families. But yeah.
Yeah. One that you choose and one that you have because you have to.
One that you have by birth. One that that's
Yeah, that is your own, and then the other one you can form it yourself.
yeah, yeah. That's why this is when Vin Diesel walks in, it's like we're more than friends, we're family.
Family. Did you say family? Those are good films, really good films. Just the last one wasn't that good.
I mean, uh, they're entertaining in one way, but like I don't know.
It's gotten too much with the whole space thing, for example. I think that wasn't the last film that they released. That was too much. Like the first few films, as as soon as Paul Walker left, it's not the same anymore.
Yeah, R.I.P. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, damn. I'm trying to think. It was a bit. I remember watching. Yeah, because I reviewed. Just did a quick review of. Was it Fast Nine?
Mm-hmm.
The Fate of the Furious. Was that the one?
I think so, yeah.
And it's just because it goes so over the top. It's like you kind of lose the stakes a bit because like none of these people are dying. Like
No.
so like there's machine gun fire and someone's running in front of in front of the bullets and you're like
I would have died already right there.
they're gonna be in the sequel, folks. Like it's not.
Yeah.
It's,
No, this is very Hollywood like. This is like very like the heroic journey and all of that. And like all of the characters, you have this group, they have to survive. They're a family. You will see them in the next one.
yeah, they gotta sell the merchandise. So
Of
that's
course.
yeah. It's when you get to something that massive, and fair play to the producers and everyone because they created something huge. Like it's a worldwide phenomenon,
Yeah.
but it does hinder the creativity a bit. I think when
Exactly, because it's always the same thing. And I also have the feeling that it's just because of the money, just because of all the merchandise and all of that, we have to keep this going because the people like it. We know this works. So why creating a whole new thing if we know Fast and Furious is awesome? Everyone loves it.
well, not
But
everyone, well,
it is, yeah, but for some people it's like I would like to see something new and not see another sequel of the same thing.
yeah,
Because it's always the same movie. It's always the same story, basically.
yeah, yeah. It's this is where you start talking about the merging of business and arts.
Exactly.
It's a wild thing to experience.
Yeah.
All right, okay. Well, trying to think if there's anything else that I forgot to ask you, but I think I covered most of my bases. I've squeezed as much information as I could on this beautiful
I'm
Sunday.
happy to hear that.
Um, if there's any projects you want to plug that you want to mention, you can.
Yes, there is going to be a project that is coming out next year with you as the main character. If you're still on it,
I mean, I want to be on it, yes.
it is called Happy Face. Do you want me to tell the story a bit, or
Well, I feel like we shouldn't spoil anything. That wouldn't.
we shouldn't spoil anything? Well, all I can say is that you are going to be the antagonist of the film, so you're going to play a big part in it.
Thank you so much. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I've enjoyed that. We talked about the
I'm
script.
looking forward to it too. I really do. I hope it's all going to work out. But for this final project, I have a really good group that I can trust, and we all know our responsibilities. Everyone's on time. We all know what we're doing. So
Mm.
I hope it's just going to work out. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed, indeed. Well, in that case, I kind of come into my final questions, which I like
Yes.
to ask of people. Is two of
Shoot.
them. One of them is I've normally immigrants and just artists in general do all kinds of odd jobs to pay the bills. If you've done any odd jobs that you're like, well, that was crazy,
Supermarkets and waitressing. They sound very basic, but they pay the bills.
right?
It's for some people it might be like, oh, that's a very normal job, being a waitress or working at Morrison's or Tesco, but it's like it does get a lot out of you, especially like the mental health bit. If you have if you're a full-time student, and then you also have to juggle at the same time with like cooking for yourself, taking a shower, washing clothes, and then you also have a 8-hour shift, and it's kind of like, where do you put all of that? And
Yeah,
especially at that job, it's a very social job, and most people don't get the point how much it takes out of you. At some point your social battery is just empty, there's nothing else left, and it is, some people just don't get the point that there are so many crazy people that you meet on a daily basis in a supermarket. It's not just that you meet John from next door who's just gonna buy strawberries and that's it. No, they're gonna be like, there's gonna be a Karen, there's gonna be someone who collapses and you have to call the paramedics. So there's all kind of stuff going on.
yeah, and that's not even mentioning the people that just straight up, pricks. Um,
Exactly.
yeah, like
Being a Yeah.
excuse, like I've got there's two things. I'm a waiter, right? There's two things that I feel like you could get me out of a coma. If I hear the word "excuse me," but especially with that tone, that nasal "excuse me,"
I
that
don't have a name. That is my name. Excuse me.
yeah.
I was tired of hearing that.
Actually, I was. It was quite funny because there was a period where they were gonna give us badges, and they were thinking about putting our pronouns on them as well, right? Just to be inclusive and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I always roll my eyes when corporations want to do inclusive stuff because I have a thing with corporations getting on the bandwagon. But
Yeah.
I was just joking that my pronouns are excuse and me. Those are my pronouns because it's literally the thing I hear
I
the most.
like that.
And the other thing that kind of could get me out of a coma is for waiters is the printer on the bar or the ticket printer on the pass. So you're like, and you just hear that and you're like,
Yeah.
somebody's ordering something.
Yeah.
Those are the two things I like. They're just stuck in my brain.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. The other question, this you're gonna love this question because
Oh,
it's about food.
it's about fruit.
Food.
Food.
Yes, so I would like to know what's the Romanian dish that people in the UK need to know about. Sarmale has been covered.
No, no, no. I'd say salata de bœuf.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I love that one. I really, really do. Just because we get it once a year at New Year's Eve. That's when my grandparents and my mom are doing it because they want to keep it a special dish, like very special. And so salata de boeuf for me is like, here you get all kinds of like bread spreads and all of that, and but not that kind of stuff. And nothing tastes like salata de boeuf that you get at my mom's place.
Yeah, fair.
Nothing can beat that.
For those who don't know, Salata de Boeuf is.
Salata de boeuf is basically, it's some sort of salad, like the name says. It's a bread spread made out of, you can either put any kind of meat like pork, chicken, or beef. It doesn't really matter, just whatever you like. But my mom uses chicken the most.
Yeah.
And then you can put all kinds of veggies in it, like pepper, peas, or potatoes, carrots, pickled cucumbers, and then you make the mayonnaise, and then you put all of it together in one bowl. You mix it, and then you can enjoy it just like that, or with bread, or just as a side dish. It's very good. It's very good. I really like it.
I approve. It's one of my favorite things. I really.
Yeah,
All
really good.
right. Well, I think that's all my questions answered. Thank you so much.
All right. Okay. Well,
And
thank you too for having me.
I'm gonna stop the recording.